Let's be honest. When it comes to time management training, the first thing you could do to save a little time is not watch this video. So here's my promise to you. I'm going to show you one trick you can use to save yourself hours of disruption every week. Literally hours every week. I'll get to that before the end of this video. Now, I would suggest that time management isn't really a thing. Unless you have a superpower you haven't told us about, you can't really manage time. What you can do is manage your attention. There are 3 things to consider for managing your attention, and they're all related. Number 1, manage your priorities. 2, manage your schedule. And 3, manage your distractions. There are many systems to address these on a grand scale. They are helpful, and they also tend to be complex and take time to practice and implement well. So rather than teach you a big system right now, I want to share some simple tips you can implement quickly and easily. First, managing priorities. You can think of this as managing the what part of your day. How do you decide what your priorities are for the day? Many of us just let our inbox dictate to us or deal with each, quote, urgent distraction as it comes along. You can be master of nearly all those things. A simple tool to use is the Eisenhower matrix. Dwight Eisenhower is known to have said, "I have 2 kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent." In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey expanded on the matrix for evaluating priorities. The first quadrant, things that are important and urgent, are things you just need to do. These items are due, overdue, or due very soon. They are usually time sensitive. Important but not urgent things need to be scheduled. These are things that will add value to your life or work but are not time sensitive. Because they are not time sensitive, they often get pushed to the back burner so we can make more room for interruptions and firefighting. Urgent but not important tasks are great candidates for delegating. These are time-sensitive tasks that likely don't require your input or can be done by a number of other people equally well. Finally, the most common advice for unimportant things that aren't urgent is don't do them. But that's not necessarily practical. Sometimes you may be able to delegate or ignore these things, but this list can also include things like checking social media, calling a friend to catch up, addressing certain emails, or running errands. They may be things that need to be done at some point, and you can't delegate everything. But you can batch these items and do them when you need to give your brain a rest or in your leisure time. So now that you've identified your priorities, let's talk about scheduling. Managing schedules is the when part of your day. A simple place to start is to reflect or observe what time of day is best for you to do certain kinds of tasks. I've found when writing a script like the one I'm reading now, yes, I'm reading from a script, I do my best work first thing in the morning. As the day wears on, I feel less creative and don't have the same kind of energy for this work. I can still do it, but it gets harder later in the day. Next, think about giving yourself some forced constraint. Here's what I mean. There's an old truism known as Parkinson's Law that says the work will expand to fill whatever time we allot for it. Have you ever been in a meeting that was scheduled for an hour, but didn't need to take that long? And yet, somehow it did take that long? Yeah. Creating a constraint in your schedule is a great way to keep work from taking longer than necessary. Time boxing is one of those methods. There are lots of videos online that go into more detail on this, so I'll summarize here. Time boxing is simply designating specific blocks of time to complete specific tasks. This requires that you honor your calendar. If you determine that you're going to work on Project X from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, don't allow non-urgent things to invade that time box. And most things are not urgent. You can even put a few time boxes on your calendar each week to address urgent things that come up. The great thing about an electronic calendar is that it's easy to move things around as needed, as long as you don't keep moving important projects to tomorrow or next week. Finally, managing distractions. This is one of the hows of your time. Think about this. If you're an average smartphone user, you unlock your phone about 150 times a day. That doesn't mean checking your texts or emails, reading news, or playing games. That's just accessing your phone to allow you to do those things. That adds up to about 2.5 hours every day just getting on your phone. That's a lot of self-distraction. The number one tip for reducing distraction, and better yet reducing your distractibility, is to stop multitasking. I should say stop attempting to multitask, because there is a boatload of research out there demonstrating that it not only doesn't work, the brain can only do one thing at a time, it is actually harmful to your brain. Oh, and it makes you less productive too. All the wrong outcomes from something many of us do to try and be more productive. Here are some tips to reduce the distraction of multitasking. Number 1. Send phone calls to voicemail or use Do Not Disturb mode when you're concentrating on a specific task, one of your time boxes. 2. In an open office or cubicle setting, use a Do Not Disturb sign to signal others not to walk up and distract you. 3. Wear noise-canceling headphones. 4. Set a no phones rule for meetings so everyone stays focused. 5. Practice mindfulness exercises. These help train your brain to focus better and be less susceptible to distractions. And number 6, learn to say no to the right things. Alright, I promised you one trick that will save you hours every week. Have you ever been in a meeting and your phone buzzes in your pocket? Or working on something at your desk and that little notification pops up that you've received an email? When either of those things happen, your body gets a little shot of adrenaline. It's actually part of your fight-flight response. Besides the fact that the adrenaline is unnecessary and subtly increases your overall stress level, it also tends to be distracting. And every time we stop to look at our phone or see what that email was about, we waste a small amount of time. What's worse is when we break focus, it takes up to 23 minutes to regain the focus we had before the interruption. You can prevent that from happening. Simply turn off those notifications. Here's how you do it. On your phone, go to your mail or notification settings. Select the account if necessary, go to Sounds, and set the alert tones and vibration to none. In Outlook, go to File, Options, and select the Mail category. In the Message Arrival section, uncheck the boxes to play a sound and display a desktop alert when a new message arrives. Click OK to apply these changes. You might feel you need these notifications because the work you do is so critical. Here are a couple of thoughts about that. First, let people know the best way to reach you when something is critical. If you prefer a phone call or a text message, let them know. Most of us don't really rely on our email as the go-to for our most critical communication. Second, if you're anything like me, I tend to pull out my phone and check it anytime I've had more than about 4 seconds of downtime, aka boredom. Remember that stat about checking our phones 150 times a day? Right. So if an important email did come in, I'm going to find it fairly soon. In the meantime, I've freed up my mind to work on tasks that are important, and I'm able to do it without unnecessary distractions. So there you go. I hope you've found this worth your time, and I encourage you to start by taking just one of these ideas and putting it into practice. You're likely to find yourself with a more productive day and a less hectic mind.